cubicle and a toilet, for goodness sake.
And so for that reason, why don't you understand?
Can I just say, another sodding man telling women about when we're safe and when we're not. We'll sodding well tell you when we're safe. Thank you very bloody much.
Well, first of all, there is...
Hey everyone, welcome back to Julian Discourse. We've all seen the arrogance of the modern left when they try to explain away basic reality. It's one thing to ask for politeness, but it's entirely different to demand that women surrender their safety and private spaces just to validate a political activist's feelings. In this clip, Talk TV host Julia Hartley-Brewer goes head-to-head with progressive commentator Benjamin Butterworth and completely dismantles modern gender ideology. Instead of falling for his emotional deflections, she corners him with one unavoidable contradiction. If subjective feelings dictate physical reality, why can't she just identify as a different race? Watch how fast their worldview short-circuits when forced to apply their own logic evenly. Hit subscribe and let's get into it.
They're in the right, though, those Darlington nurses.
Well, look, I think where you measure this, you're giving me looks.
This is a yes or a no.
It's not.
This is why my audience shout at you when you're on the radio.
Look. I don't know what this person looks like, and if they claim...
No, I do. I've seen a picture of him. He's clearly a man. Because he is a man.
If they haven't had an operation, if they don't present as a woman, if they don't behave in that way...
What's behaving as a woman? Do I behave as a woman?
Well, looking like a woman is what I'm referring to.
Well, they said it wouldn't make a difference. He was a man.
And I disagree. So if they've fully operated on and they've had a recognition certificate which legally changes what their sex is...
You can have a recognition certificate without having had an operation or even a single drug.
You can. Well, I don't know if you can...
No,
hang
you
on.
can.
You have to go through a 2-year process at least.
No,
and there are lots of assessments.
You can. No, gender recognition certificates, you don't even have to have taken a hormone blocker.
And it is... I mean, that is not how it works normally. And it's completely wrong to say that someone who is fully operated on, has had gender reassignment surgery, looks to everybody else as though they're a woman.
They don't ever look like
But that's complete nonsense. That's offensive nonsense.
What's offensive about it?
To say that you're talking about people you don't know, to say that they can never look like the gender they assign.
I've seen enough pictures of men who say that they think they're women, and I can always tell they're men.
But you can't. I mean, just the other day...
I hate to tell you, women have got a good instinct about this, biologically, for a very good reason.
Well, I mean, look, you're wrong. So, for example, there was a woman called April Ashley who had a gender reassignment surgery in the 1950s.
There was a man or a woman?
Well, they were
Is he a man or a woman?
They were born male.
So he's a man?
They're now deceased.
So he's a man?
But they lived and had an operation for 60 years, their entire adult life almost. Now, are you telling me that late woman in her 80s should have been sent into the men's loos and that would keep her safe?
I'm very happy for there to be a cubicle that's just used by people who are confused about their identity. That's fine, but you don't take the women's loos.
So separate but not equal. Is that what you really think?
No, that's perfectly equal. It's just you don't get to be... The reason why women don't want men in their toilets because men are a threat to women in their toilet. We don't know which man is a threat. You can't tell because men who are sex offenders don't have "I'm a sex offender" written on their forehead, funnily enough.
Well, I'm sure you don't need telling. Men who are sex offenders don't need to pretend to be a woman. You know, Wayne Couzens put on a police uniform, not a dress.
Yeah, but he wasn't it. Yeah, but there are places where we are more vulnerable than others, and one of them is when we're changing down to our bra and knickers, or when we're in a cubicle in a toilet. For goodness sake.
For that reason, why don't you understand?
Can I just say, another sodding man telling women about when we're safe and when we're not. We'll sodding well tell you when we're safe. Thank you very bloody much.
Well, first of all, there are as many trans women as trans men. It goes in both directions. And you are not caring about those very vulnerable, tiny minority of people.
No, I don't actually. I care about women's rights.
Well, you said the quiet bit out loud, I think.
No, I didn't say the quiet bit out loud. I've been very clear about this. Because trans rights don't trump women's rights. Trans people have got the same. I'm very happy if they want to use the disabled bob, if it says disabled.
But they're not disabled.
No. If it says disabled and people confused about their gender identity, I don't care what it says. They can use whatever loos they want. They don't get to use my loos if they're born a man and they've got a penis. That full stop.
I mean, I think this is condescending and also also probably illegal because it may well it would out those people as being transgender in public by going to those toilets.
There
are plenty of trans people who look like the gender they identify.
They really aren't.
They are not safe by going into a men's toilet.
There aren't plenty of trans people, and B, there aren't very many who look like they're actually the gender they claim to be, which they aren't because biologically, under the law, Supreme Court made that very clear, they are not that sex. End of. Nothing to discuss.
Well, the law says otherwise in fact, because
it doesn't.
these people have
No, it
legally
doesn't.
changed their sex. If you have a
You can
gender
have a
recognition
piece.
certificate,
I can
you
have a
are
piece
not
of
the
paper
sex you were
saying I'm a
born.
tortoise. It doesn't make me a sodding tortoise.
But you know full well that that isn't the same case.
It
why,
is.
Why do you
What
think
difference
trans
is-
people exist
Okay,
in every
can I
culture,
get
in
a
every
piece of
society, in every
can I
piece of
get
history?
Can I get a piece? No, people who think that they're born in the wrong. That's not trans people. They're people who think they're born in the wrong.
Who
No
are
one's
you
born
to
in the
tell
wrong
them
body.
how they know their
But you're
lives?
to tell me whether I'm safe in the toilet or not.
I'm not lecturing on women. I'm lecturing on transgender people standing up
Can
for
I
them.
get a piece of paper saying that I'm a black woman?
No, of course
Oh
you
no,
can't.
that would be crazy. Being a black woman or being a white woman, there's less difference there than being a woman or being a man. But one of them is offensive and one of them is progressive.
Except that the centre of what you're saying is to assume that these people are somehow inventing it, that it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist that you can identify as
they're
having a
not born in
broken
the wrong
leg.
body.
Yes, they are. It
No,
does
they're not.
exist. That's why you have people that will
They
describe
believe
this.
that
They
they
will
may
describe this from
legitimately,
childhood.
honestly believe they're born in the wrong body, for which I have. It's body dysmorphia. We used to treat it as that. I've absolute sympathy. I want them to live their
They don't
happiest
want sympathy,
life.
they want their rights,
Empathy.
and they want
their right
equality,
is that
and
they
they want
can
the
use the
ability to go about
toilet
their
that they are
lives.
designated by birth.
Look, the fact is that there are plenty of people who look like the gender they identify as, who are fully operated on, and
They
the
really
idea,
aren't.
the
They
idea,
really aren't. You named one.
the idea. Well, I mean, I could name
You
more
named
if you
one.
wanted. There's a Garnier model called Paris.
No. Paris, no. Paris does not. Paris is clearly a man.
No, absolutely not. And the truth is that when these people have been fully operated on, fully legally
They're
changed
not.
their sex,
The vast
and then why should you
majority
send them?
of men who pretend that they are women do not have any. They've had no treatment whatsoever, and they are quite clearly fully intact males, as this man Rose Henderson was.
Well, I'm aware you only have half an hour left, and you probably.
I could do this for the next half an hour, mate, and
don't
I'd
think we're
still
gonna
be right the whole time.
Well, you'd still be wrong. I don't think we're going to persuade each
No,
other.
but I just find it extraordinary. A man can go, I've got a piece of paper saying I'm a woman, changing every aspect about their life, their body, but the pigmentation in your skin. I can't say to you, I identify as a black woman, because that's outrageous. Would you see how absurd and outrageous it is for a man to say, I'm a woman now?
What is absurd is for you to tell people who know themselves better
I
than
know
clearly
myself
you
to be
know.
a black woman, Benjamin. How dare you tell me I'm not?
I mean,
how dare you tell me I'm not a black woman?
Although, frankly,
I'm a black woman. If I believe I'm a black woman, then I'm a black woman.
Frankly, it would have no consequence on me whether you thought you were a black woman or
I'm
not.
pretty sure a lot of black people would be peeved for me to be claiming I've been oppressed all my life because I'm a black woman. You'd think that was outrageous, wouldn't you? And quite rightly.
I think denying the ability of tax-paying, decent, law-abiding people to go about their lives
women?
based
You
on
mean
their
women?
gender
You
identity,
mean women?
which is what transgender
What about
people
tax-paying,
face,
law-abiding
is
nurses like the
discrimination.
Darlington nurses who just want to be able to change without a man standing there in his boxer shorts, calling himself Rose and saying, "You're getting changed yet?" in front of them.
You're saying that an 80-year-old woman who transitioned 60 years ago should be marched into the men's loos, and as if that would be normal or safe or reasonable. It would not.
Why would it not be safe for
was
her to be
prejudice.
her, she, he, him to be in the men's toilets?
Because that nobody would think that an old woman is a man and was born male. And they don't have male
Is this
parts.
trans person you're talking about a greater or less threat than the women who are in their bra and knickers in the changing room at their hospital when a man stands there in his boxer shorts?
A trans person is at greater risk. We know that they are targeted.
There's no
for
evidence.
abuse.
Again, there's no
There
evidence for that.
absolutely is.
That's one of the absolutely debunked nonsense things that has been claimed. Absolute nonsense. I mean, honestly. Anyone want to come in and have a say? Give us a call. 0344
Maybe let transgender people call in, see if they agree
They
with
can
you.
call in.
I
I've
don't
invited
think so.
plenty of. We've had trans guests. I've interviewed many trans guests. Lots of the trans activists don't come on. They know why they don't come on, because they're going to lose the debate.
You know, there is a very specific type of panic that washes over a progressive activist when they are forced to apply their own logic evenly. You could see it all over Benjamin Butterworth's face. For years, the political left has demanded that the rest of society abandon biological reality, arguing that physical truth is entirely subordinate to a person's feelings. But the exact second Julia Hartley-Brewer held up a mirror to that ideology and asked why she couldn't simply identify as a different race, his entire worldview short-circuited. Suddenly, the left's anything goes framework vanished. Suddenly, he was deeply concerned about biology and offense, completely blind to the staggering hypocrisy of demanding that a biological woman accept a fully intact male in her private changing room. This exchange is a perfect autopsy of modern weaponized identity politics. The progressive left does not actually have a coherent set of logical principles. What they have is a rigid system of compliance. They demand that you ignore your own eyes and sacrifice the safety of women simply to prove you are an obedient member of polite society. To understand why the political landscape of 2026 looks the way it does, look at how aggressively the establishment tried to force this broken ideology into law. The turning point came in April 2024, a month that shattered the institutional left's credibility globally. In the UK, the landmark Cass Review officially concluded the gender transition model pushed on children was built on weak, unreliable evidence, exposing that activists had essentially hijacked the medical establishment. That exact same month in the US, the Biden administration aggressively finalized a rewrite of Title IX to erase half a century of civil rights protections for biological women. They demanded that federal funding be tied to allowing biological males into girls' locker rooms and sports. But conservative states and female athletes fought back, and federal judges systematically blocked the rewrite as an unconstitutional overreach. The elites pushed too hard, and they broke their own machine. What we are living through today in 2026 is the direct political blowback of that arrogance. The left assumed that if they just labeled every dissenting voice as bigoted, we would eventually back down out of fear. But as Julia brilliantly demonstrated, the moment you stop apologizing and force them to defend their own absurdities, they completely fall apart. We cannot cede an inch of ground to a faction that believes truth is a social construct. Speak clearly, protect biological reality, and never apologize for defending the safety of women. Thanks for watching Julian Discourse. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.